As a former addict who was clinically dead for over 8 minutes, I discovered something about addiction recovery that completely eliminated my craving forever. Something no rehab program, no therapy, no medical intervention could ever achieve. What happened to me in those 8 minutes didn't just save my life. It revealed the spiritual secret that instantly eliminated my addiction without withdrawal, without cravings, without relapse, without any of the agony that comes with getting clean. This divine intervention gave me something that 6 years of failed rehabs, detox programs, and therapy couldn't: complete freedom from addiction in a single moment. The medical team said my heart stopped 6 times during that overdose. There was no medical explanation for why I survived, and even less explanation for why I woke up completely free from addiction after 6 years of failed recovery attempts. I want to share this with you because if you're struggling with addiction right now, if you feel like there's no way out, I need you to know that divine intervention is real and it's available to you too. But before I share those 8 life-changing minutes that could transform your recovery too, you need to understand the depths of addiction I was drowning in. Because when you see how hopeless my situation was, you'll understand why this divine intervention was nothing short of miraculous. 6 years ago, I was dying from heroin addiction, and I had tried everything the medical world had to offer. I had tried everything: rehab centers, detox programs, Suboxone, methadone, therapy, support groups. Nothing worked. I would get clean for a few weeks, sometimes a few months, but the craving always came back stronger than before. I had lost my family, my job, my home, and my hope. I was living in my car, stealing to survive, and using just to feel normal. The shame was eating me alive. On the night that changed my life forever, I scored what I thought would be my usual hit. But something was different about this batch. Within seconds of injecting, I felt my chest tighten, my breathing become shallow, and a crushing weight pressing down on me. I collapsed in a gas station bathroom, alone, with no one to help me. As my vision went black, my last thought was, this is how it ends. And that's when everything changed. Suddenly, I wasn't in that dirty bathroom anymore. I found myself in a place of indescribable light, not the harsh fluorescent lights I was used to, but a warm golden radiance that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. The light didn't hurt my eyes. Instead, it felt like being embraced by pure love itself. I looked around and realized I was floating, weightless, in what could only be described as a realm beyond anything earthly. I looked down and saw my own body being rushed through hospital corridors. Paramedics were doing chest compressions, shocking my heart with defibrillators, injecting medications into my lifeless form. But I felt no pain, no panic, no fear. Instead, I was filled with an overwhelming sense of peace that I had never experienced in my entire life, certainly not during my years of addiction. But what happened next changed everything I thought I knew about reality itself. Then I wasn't alone anymore. I found myself face to face with beings of pure light. They didn't have physical forms as we understand them, but their presence was more real than anything I had ever encountered. These beings radiated love so powerful that it made every high I had ever chased feel like a pale shadow in comparison. They communicated with me not through words, but through direct transmission of understanding, emotion, and knowledge. The first thing they showed me was my life, but not as a judgment or condemnation. They showed me my life's true purpose, not the life I had lived, but the life I was meant to live. I saw myself as a child, full of wonder and joy, before the pain started. I saw the exact moments when I began disconnecting from my spiritual source, when I started seeking external substances to fill the void that could only be filled by divine connection. But what they showed me next changed everything I thought I knew about addiction, about purpose, about why we suffer. Here's what will shock you. These beings of light revealed to me that addiction isn't what we think it is. Picture this. Imagine your soul as a house with all the lights turned off, and every time you use a substance, you're desperately flicking light switches, hoping one will illuminate the emptiness inside. But what you're really searching for isn't electric light. It's the divine light that can only come from reconnecting with your spiritual source. Every time someone reaches for that bottle, that needle, that pill, their soul is actually crying out, searching desperately for something it lost long ago. It's not a moral failing. It's not a character defect. It's not even really about the drugs themselves. Addiction is spiritual disconnection. Every person struggling with addiction is actually a soul desperately searching for the divine connection they've lost. Every hit, every drink, every substance we use is our soul's confused attempt to return to that state of oneness with the divine that we all experienced before we came to earth. But this revelation about spiritual disconnection was only the beginning. What they showed me next would completely reframe everything I thought I knew about why some souls choose such difficult paths. They showed me something that completely reframed my understanding of my own suffering. I learned that before I was born, my soul chose this struggle. I chose to experience addiction because my mission in this lifetime required me to understand the depths of human suffering so I could help others find their way out. My addiction wasn't a punishment, it was preparation. The beings explained that every soul has a contract, a mission they agreed to fulfill during their time on earth. Some souls choose easier paths to learn gentler lessons. But some souls, like mine, choose the hardest experiences because they have the strength to transform that suffering into something that can heal not just themselves, but countless others who are walking the same dark path. I know this sounds impossible to believe. I wouldn't have believed it myself 6 years ago when I was shooting up in that bathroom. But lying in that hospital bed, this truth felt more real than anything I had ever experienced in my addiction. This revelation hit me like a lightning bolt of understanding. My years of addiction, my relapses, my failures, my shame, none of it was meaningless. It was all part of preparing me to become someone who could reach other addicts in a way that someone who had never experienced addiction never could. The pain had purpose. Then came the moment I'll never forget. These divine beings showed me what they called the spark. I felt it like a warm golden thread running through my chest, pulsing with each heartbeat, connecting me to something infinite. It was as if I'd been walking around my entire life with a blindfold on, and suddenly I could see that I had never been alone, never been broken, never been beyond saving. They revealed that inside every person struggling with addiction, there is a divine spark that can never be extinguished, no matter how much we use, no matter how far we fall, no matter how much shame we carry. That spark is our direct connection to the divine, and it's always there, waiting for us to remember it exists. I felt an overwhelming explosion of compassion, not just for myself, but for every addict on the planet. I saw that every person shooting up in an alley, every person drinking themselves unconscious, every person destroying their lives with substances, they're not bad people making bad choices. They're divine souls who have temporarily forgotten their true nature, desperately trying to return home to the love they came from. In that moment, I understood why I had to go through everything I went through. My mission became crystal clear: to return to Earth and help other addicts remember their divine spark, to help them understand that their addiction is not their identity, it's just a temporary forgetting of who they really are. Then the beings told me something that seemed impossible. They said that when I returned to my body, the craving would be gone, not reduced, not manageable, completely gone. They explained that once a soul remembers its true connection to the divine, the desperate searching for external substances to fill the spiritual void simply ends. I didn't understand how this could be possible. I had tried so many times to get clean, and the cravings always came back. But they assured me that this time would be different because this time I wouldn't be relying on willpower or human interventions alone. This time, I would be returning with a direct, conscious connection to the divine source that would eliminate the spiritual disconnection that caused the addiction in the first place. The transition back to physical reality was like being compressed into something too small to contain what I had experienced. But even as I felt the chaos of medical intervention around me, something miraculous was already happening. When I returned to my body, I felt like I was being compressed back into something too small to contain what I had experienced. The first sensation was the pain. The needles, the machines, the chaos of medical intervention. But underneath all that physical discomfort was something miraculous. The craving was gone, completely gone. In 6 years of addiction, I had never gone a single hour without thinking about using. Even when I was clean, even when I was in rehab, even when I was trying my hardest to stay sober, there was always this constant background noise in my mind, this obsession with getting high. But now, lying in that hospital bed for the first time in years, my mind was quiet. The noise was gone. The desperate wanting was gone. The craving had simply vanished. But it wasn't just the craving that was gone. My fear of death had completely vanished too. I realized that what we call death isn't an ending. It's graduation day for your soul. It's the moment when you finally get to go home to that place of perfect love and light that I had just experienced. Death isn't something to fear. It's something to look forward to. The ultimate reunion with the divine source that created us. This understanding changed everything about how I lived. When you're not afraid of dying, you become truly free to live. I started making decisions based on love instead of fear, on purpose instead of survival, on service instead of self-destruction. The shame that had controlled my life for so long was replaced by an overwhelming sense of gratitude for the journey, even the darkest parts of it. But here's what the doctors couldn't understand, what they couldn't measure with their machines or explain with their medical training. Every morning when I woke up, instead of that familiar crushing weight of craving, I felt light. Not just physically, but spiritually weightless, like I was floating in that divine presence I had experienced during those 8 minutes. Over the following days and weeks, the medical staff was amazed by my recovery. They expected me to go through severe withdrawal symptoms, the sweating, the shaking, the pain, the depression that always came when I stopped using. But none of that happened. I experienced no withdrawal symptoms at all. No physical cravings, no psychological obsession, no depression from quitting. It was like the addiction had been surgically removed from my system by divine intervention. I left that hospital not as someone who was in recovery from addiction, but as someone who was completely free from it. I didn't need a 12-step program. I didn't need Suboxone or methadone to manage cravings. I didn't need daily meetings to stay clean. I was simply no longer an addict because I had remembered who I really was. A divine soul temporarily inhabiting a human body, with a mission to help others remember the same thing. But my transformation went far beyond just being free from addiction. The divine connection that had eliminated my cravings also opened something else, a new way of seeing the world and the people in it. But the real transformation was just beginning. Over the months that followed, I started noticing that I could sense the divine spark in other people, especially those who were struggling with addiction. When I encountered someone using drugs or drinking heavily, instead of feeling judgment or superiority, I felt overwhelming compassion. I could see through the addiction to the beautiful soul underneath who was just trying to find their way home to love. But here's what I need you to understand, and this might be the most important thing I tell you today. What if your addiction isn't your failure, but your soul's way of preparing you to help someone else find their way home? 6 years later, I still feel connected to that divine presence I encountered during my near-death experience. It's not something I have to work to maintain through meditation or prayer, though those practices do strengthen it. It's simply there, like a constant background awareness that I am never alone, that I am always loved, and that my life has meaning and purpose beyond anything I could have imagined. My mission became clear through that experience. I was sent back to share this message with others who feel hopeless about their addiction. I was sent back to tell you that divine intervention is real, that miraculous recovery is possible, and that your addiction might be your soul's way of preparing you for your own divine mission. Now, after sharing my journey with you, you might be wondering, what does this mean for my own struggle? Let me be clear about what this experience taught me about your battle. And that's why I'm sharing this with you today. If you're struggling with addiction right now, if you've tried everything and nothing has worked, if you feel like you're beyond help or beyond hope, I need you to know that you're not. Your addiction is not your identity. Your addiction is not a moral failing. Your addiction is not proof that you're a bad person or that you don't deserve love. Your addiction is your soul's confused attempt to return to the divine love that you came from. Every substance you've used, every high you've chased, every escape you've sought, it's all been your soul trying to remember what real connection feels like. But what you're seeking can't be found in any substance. What you're seeking is a reconnection with the divine spark inside you that can never be extinguished, no matter what you've done or how far you think you've fallen. The same divine beings who showed me my mission are available to help you too. The same divine intervention that instantly removed my craving is available to you too. The same miraculous recovery that I experienced is available to you too. But it requires one thing that I had to surrender completely: the belief that you can overcome addiction through human willpower alone. Recovery isn't just about staying clean. It's about staying connected to the divine. It's about remembering that you are not a human being having a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. And that spiritual being that you truly are is perfect, lovable, and worthy of all the love and healing that the universe has to offer. I want you to understand something that changed my perspective forever. The overwhelming compassion I feel for everyone still trapped in addiction isn't pity, it's recognition. I see the divine spark in every person who is struggling, and I know that their struggle is not meaningless. Like mine was, their addiction might be their soul's way of preparing them to help others who are walking the same path. Every day, I wake up with a clear mission: to share this message with others who need hope. To help them understand that spiritual disconnection is the root cause of addiction, and that spiritual reconnection is the permanent solution. Not just managing the symptoms, not just white-knuckling through cravings, but actually healing the spiritual wound that created the addiction in the first place. Here's what I discovered that no rehab center ever taught me. Your craving isn't for the drug, it's your soul crying out for home. Every time you feel that desperate pull toward using, that's your divine spark trying to get your attention, trying to remind you that what you're really seeking is already inside you. So what does this mean for you? It means that if you're struggling with addiction, you might want to consider that your battle isn't really with drugs or alcohol. Your battle is with spiritual disconnection. The substances are just symptoms of a deeper hunger, your soul's hunger to return to the divine love that you came from. Consider exploring meditation, prayer, or any practice that helps you connect with something greater than yourself. Seek out communities of people who understand that recovery is as much a spiritual journey as it is a physical one. Look for your own divine spark, that part of you that knows you are worthy of love and healing, even when your mind tells you otherwise. Most importantly, don't give up. Your addiction does not define you. Your relapses do not disqualify you from divine intervention. Your mistakes do not make you unworthy of miraculous healing. The same love that saved me is available to save you, and the same divine beings who showed me my mission are waiting to show you yours. 6 years ago, I was dying alone on that bathroom floor. Today, I'm sharing this divine intervention with you because I know you're searching for the same hope I found. This isn't just my story. It's proof that miraculous healing is available to you right now. If this testimony has reached your heart, I believe it's because God wants to use you to save someone's life. First, share this divine intervention story with someone struggling with addiction. Your share could be the miracle they've been praying for. Second, tell me in the comments about your own spiritual awakening or recovery journey. Your testimony could give hope to someone feeling hopeless. Third, subscribe and turn on notifications because I share more divine intervention testimonies every week that prove God's healing power is still active today. In the comments, share one word describing how this divine intervention story impacted you, or tell us about someone you know who desperately needs this message. Together, we're building a community of divine intervention testimonies that's bringing supernatural hope to addicts around the world who thought they were beyond saving. I promised you at the start that I'd share how divine intervention eliminated my addiction in 8 minutes, without withdrawal, without cravings, without any human intervention. I've kept that promise because I know you're searching for the same miraculous freedom I found. Remember, the same God who reached into that hospital room and eliminated my craving in 8 minutes is reaching out to you right now. He's not done with you. Your addiction is not your identity, and your story is not over. Say yes to his love and watch him transform your life in ways you never thought possible.